Nunu is one of the most troll champions in the game. Some go ghost cleanse and run it down mid, some try to force early ganks that never work with their giant snowball, and some are this guy.
Daddy, I will come to you in your truck.
Okay, little boy.
So for the next 10 hours, I'm gonna try to learn Nunu in 3 steps. First, normal games, second, do some research, and third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion, so one day I can make the greatest Viego video ever. So what runes and builds should you go on Nunu? For your runes, you really have a couple of options. Aftershock if you want to go tanky Nunu, Dark Harvest for AP Nunu, and Phase Rush, which is pretty good with all of his builds. For your build, you really have 2 main options. Tank is the best build statistically, where you start with Leandre's Torment for damage, Deadman's Plate for speed, and then a mix of tanky items to finish it off. AP is the more fun build, where you usually go Hextech Proto Belt for mobility, Death Cap for damage, and then a bunch of other AP items. Anyway, on to some normal games. To be honest, I was very excited to play Nunu because he has a super high win rate because he gets objectives so well for feats of strength. And because my chat told me to play like Kesha for the first game, the guy from the intro, I did my best impersonation. Ah! Ow! Fuck you! I'm not gonna get him, am I? I'm not gonna get him. I'm not gonna get him. Ow! Fuck you, bitch! But let me tell you, the level of energy required to act like that guy for a whole game is wild. I mean, don't get me wrong, the blind confidence and energy I had this game actually led to some really fun plays, especially for my first game, but playing with that energy was genuinely exhausting. Bow! It was a very good first game though. Bow! 11, 4, and 9, and I got the win? Unfortunately, because I did so well in my first game, I decided to play AP Nunu in my next game. And not only did I play way too aggressively, but I was also kind of just underwhelmed with the damage. I don't really know what I was expecting though, to be honest. After watching a bunch of Nunu highlights, I kinda just expected to one-shot everybody with my snowballs. But despite kind of inting this game, I cannot tell you how much fun I was having with this champion. I mean, without even thinking, I was making just little sound effects. But you know what? I had Aftershock this game on accident. I'll definitely do better next time. But for now, I went back to tank Nunu because it just felt a lot better in my first game. I mean, AP Nunu was still something that interested me due to his surprisingly good AP ratios, but because Nunu typically wants to go in with his snowballs, a tankier build just makes more sense, and he has some HP scaling on his Q and ult. So at about the 2-hour mark, I wanted to give AP Nunu another try. And with this early kill, I knew I was gonna snowball this game. Get it? Snowball? Okay, that's the only snowball joke, I promise. But sadly, our top laner rage quit after dying 3 times in 6 minutes. All right, that game does not really count. This is my next AP Nunu game, and it was off to a pretty good start. And because of his ult's amazing AP scaling, I sometimes went a little too deep for big ult plays. Boom! Oh, I'm dead. But come on, when your ult does this much damage, it doesn't matter if you die, it's more about sending a message at this point. And when you combine that with the snare on Nunu's E, there is just no counterplay for the enemy team. But despite the insane damage potential, I really did not like the glass cannon build, especially when your engage is so telegraphed. I just couldn't stop dying. But hey, a win's a win, I guess. After these games, I realized Nunu is so much fun. So I did some research on YouTube, and here's what I found. 1. Nunu is great at early ganks. A good strategy I saw from a lot of other Nunus was ganking after 3 camps to catch the enemy by surprise. 2. In a fight, if you are going to die, don't queue an enemy, queue a minion because you heal more and you might just be able to live. 3. A cool little mechanic to make sure your snowball doesn't get blocked by the spell shield is you release it right before it connects and you spam your E. Your little snowballs hit first and you're able to get the knockup. 4. Do not try to fight the enemy jungler early because you will always lose a 1v1. The goal is to use your snowballs and fast clear speed to create unfair ganks and weird jungle paths. And 5, be proactive. Look for ganks and fights whenever you can, and just cause chaos and get objectives. Anyway, on to some ranked games. So now that I was on to ranked, I decided to just play tank Nunu because it's the build that felt most natural to me. But I will admit, if I was AP Nunu this fight, this would have been amazing. That misses is crazy, by the way. Wait, this is huge! I was just so fucking close to these kills. In my defense, I only spam pinged the Darius here because he turned around after pinging on his way to the fight. Anyway, tilt aside, I knew that tank Nunu needed less gold than AP Nunu, so as long as I stayed cool, I'd be fine. And since Nunu's whole thing is snow, staying cool wasn't much of a problem. But one of the things I love about Nunu is you don't need to be ahead to win. His ability to secure objectives with his Q makes him valuable no matter what his score is. Nunu's speed and CC also makes him great in a team fight, which is another reason why you don't need to be ahead to still have an impact. I mean, look at this fight here, where I'm 0-2 and I was invaded early. But my speed and CC allowed me to not only make it bot in time, but also turn around the entire fight. And this is the mindset I often found myself using. Because Nunu likes to gank early with the snowball, there will be a lot of games where you fall behind if the gank goes horribly wrong. But for some reason, I just always trusted Nunu's ability to be useful, even if some of my plays were more luck than actual skill. Oh, they're FFing. Oh, they're FFing after that one. Anyway, no matter how badly I did early game, I was always having fun, which definitely helped me come back and not get tilted. Ow! I don't know what it is, but there's just something so wholesome about the Nunu and Willem duo. Even when ganks go horribly wrong, I'm just able to chill out and keep on rolling. But I will admit, even though this attitude helped my mental, it didn't always lead to the best plays. Let me explain. All of a sudden, I was playing a champion that was fun to go in with because of his snowball, and didn't really care if I died when I went in. I was just playing this super fast playstyle I wasn't used to, and was kinda just coin flipping every fight. And even though it worked some games, it definitely did not work every game. Right now, it was just a mix of forcing fights I shouldn't and bad mechanics. Please don't flame me too much for this snowball, by the way. But again, there were a lot of times where plays worked out amazing. I just needed to get better at choosing my fights so they end more like this one and not like the last one. Trust me, I swear I get better. But for now, my early games continued to struggle because I just kept forcing fights I probably shouldn't have. But like I said earlier, no matter how bad I play early, I really love playing Nunu in team fights, especially when fighting over objectives because of Nunu's Q. But I got 2 of them? When did I get Evelyn? I mean, oh my goodness, slowing everybody with my ult so my team can follow up is such an amazing feeling. Oh, holy shit! And with all the limit testing I was doing, I was getting a lot more comfortable with Nunu's damage, like with this solo kill right here. And like I said, I did eventually get better at knowing what fights I can take early and started having better early games. It's just, with Nunu's snowball, it's so tempting to zoom to every fight. And in order to play this champion, you gotta learn some restraint. I mean, just because I can get to every fight doesn't mean I should. But now that I was getting used to the tanky build, Nunu's damage, and most importantly, steering the freaking snowball, I was starting to get better. I just love how fun and fast Nunu is. I don't know what else to say. But it was around the 6-hour mark that I finally started to get good with Nunu's early game. Sure, I still had my fair share of ambitious fights I probably should have just run away from, but while most of my first games had like 3 or more deaths early on, this game only had 2. I was a little more patient with my ganks, making sure I had teammates around me instead of just rolling forward and expecting things to work out. But let me tell you, this was way harder than it sounds. For those of you who haven't played Nunu, his giant snowball is like a freaking drug. Like, every time I see a potential kill on the map, the only thing I can think is snowball, snowball, snowball! But again, over time I did get better at picking what fights to go for, like playing around my fed bot lane who was in a super close fight, or playing around my super fed bot lane when the enemy pushed up too far. Honestly, playing Nunu just helped my map awareness so much, because not only did I pay attention to what lanes to gank, but if I should even gank them. It's like when I did my Shen challenge last year specifically to improve my map awareness, but with a jungler. A jungler who didn't have a global ult or anything, but had enough speed to get anywhere on the map. And I finally started winning games where I was happy with my performance. And those last 2 games really sparked a turning point for this challenge. My confidence was at an all-time high, my map awareness was better than ever, and I honestly think I was making the right calls most of the time. Most of the time. That was stupid. But yeah, jokes aside, this doesn't even include Nunu's objective control. Like, we got Dragon Soul in 23 minutes this game. And just look at that 2,400 true damage. There is no way Warwick was gonna steal this from us. And again, another game where I was really happy with my performance. And honestly, the last 2 hours of these challenges are the most fun because I finally understand the champion pretty well. Sure, I could have done better here by using my Q and Smite to steal Dragon, but I was more comfortable with my kit, my snowball control was pretty good, and we were winning more fights. And most importantly, I started having some pretty good ultimates. He went in is crazy, by the way. But also, I had grown a lot more patient and controlled too. Like this fight, old me probably would have tried to turn the snowball and go in 1v4, but now I was like, yeah, maybe I should run away from 4 people this time. And then when the enemy engaged on me, I used my slows and ult to peel for my smolder who carried the fight. But hey, this doesn't mean every game is going to be amazing. Sure, I had gotten better at Nunu, but that didn't mean I wasn't going to make mistakes now and again, and even have a few really bad games, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. But while doing these challenges, I've learned to become a lot more improvement focused and understand that in order to learn, you've got to make mistakes. Like when I was younger, I was pretty good at basketball and was even invited to join a club team in middle school. But I was so scared of making mistakes or taking important shots that slowly all of my teammates just got better than me. And by the time I got to high school, I had fallen so far behind, I was the only person from that club team who didn't make the high school team, all because I was too afraid to make mistakes when I was younger. Fast forward to now, and I still hate making mistakes, especially when hundreds of thousands of people will see them when the video comes out. But I also appreciated the mistakes a lot more. Like, if I hadn't played so aggressive with Nunu before, I may have messed up this double kill now. Or I might have been too scared to engage this fight because my snowball was down. But I trusted the rest of my slows and still made the fight work. The point is, I'm not a perfect player, but these challenges have forced me to learn and grow to become a better player than I was last year. And sure, there will be champions that almost break me. Cassante. That video's coming out pretty soon, by the way. But I really do think these challenges have helped me grow a lot as a person, and I'm so happy so many of you enjoy the series. And you know what? I think the last game of this challenge sums up everything perfectly. Sure, my early game had a few mistakes, like these bad ganks, but I focused on what I had learned throughout the challenge to help me come back, and things really started to turn around. I was even able to pull off the EW combo, which got rid of Sivir's spell shield, allowed me to knock her up, and led to 2 kills for my team. And even while behind, you could just tell I was having a lot of fun. Boom! So yeah, Nunu's a great champion and I recommend him for a lot of people. He has a good early game, he's great at getting objectives, and most importantly, he's a lot of fun.